When millionaire Ethan Hayes stepped out of that luxury hotel, he never expected to see her again, his former maid, the woman whose heart he shattered 4 years ago. But there she was, waiting for an Uber with 3 little boys who looked exactly like him. The shock on Naomi's face told him everything he needed to know, but what she whispered next would destroy everything he thought he understood about his past. You see, while Ethan was living his privileged life, Naomi was hiding a secret so devastating it would turn his world upside down and force him to choose between his family's fortune and the love he never forgot. What his controlling father had done behind the scenes was about to come to light, and the price of that betrayal would either reunite a broken family or destroy them all forever. Subscribe and comment below if you've ever had to choose between love and money, because trust me, this story is about to get more twisted than you can imagine. The autumn air was crisp as Ethan Hayes stepped out of the Grand Metropolitan Hotel. His black suit was perfectly pressed. His shoes gleamed under the streetlights. Another boring board dinner was finally over. He pulled out his phone to call his driver. That's when he saw her, Naomi. His heart stopped. After 4 years, there she was, standing under the bright hotel lights, waiting by the curb with her phone in her hand. But she wasn't alone. 3 little boys stood beside her. The youngest tugged at her coat. The middle one kicked at a small stone. The oldest looked around with curious eyes. Ethan's phone slipped from his fingers. It clattered on the sidewalk. Those boys. They had his dark hair, his green eyes, his stubborn chin. They looked just like him. Naomi glanced up at the sound of his phone hitting the ground. Their eyes met across the busy sidewalk. Her face went pale. Her whole body went stiff. "Mommy?" the youngest boy said. His voice was small and sweet. "Is that him?" The words hit Ethan like a punch to the chest. Him. Did this little boy know who he was? Naomi grabbed the boy's hand. "Hush, baby, don't stare." But Ethan couldn't stop staring. The middle boy had his exact nose. The oldest stood the same way Ethan did when he was thinking. Even their mannerisms looked familiar. People walking by began to notice. A woman in a fur coat whispered to her husband. A businessman slowed his steps. Everyone knew Ethan Hayes in this town. His family owned half the buildings on this street. "Is that the Hayes boy?" someone said behind him. "Who's that woman with him? Those kids look just like him." The whispers grew louder. Naomi heard them too. Her beautiful brown eyes filled with panic. An Uber pulled up to the curb. The driver rolled down his window. "Naomi Carter?" "Yes, that's me." Her voice shook. She opened the back door quickly. "Boys, get in now." "But Mommy," the oldest started. "Now, Marcus." Marcus. Even the name felt right to Ethan. He took a step forward. "Naomi, wait." She froze. Her hand was on the car door. "Don't. Please, I just want to talk." "There's nothing to talk about." She helped the youngest boy into the car. "Come on, David. Get your seatbelt on." David. Another name that made Ethan's chest tight. "Naomi, those boys have nothing to do with you." She slammed the car door. Through the window he could see the 3 little faces looking back at him. Wide eyes. Confused expressions. The oldest boy, Marcus, pressed his hand against the glass. For a moment Ethan thought the child might wave, but Naomi said something sharp, and Marcus pulled his hand back. The Uber drove away. Ethan stood there watching until the red taillights disappeared around the corner. His hands were shaking. His heart pounded in his chest like a drum. Behind him the hotel lobby buzzed with gossip. He could hear every word. "Did you see those children? They looked exactly like him. Who was that woman? Wasn't she the maid who used to work for the Hayes family?" Ethan's driver, Robert, appeared beside him. The older man's face was worried. "Sir? Your phone?" Ethan looked down. His phone was still on the sidewalk. The screen was cracked. He picked it up with trembling fingers. "Sir, are you all right?" "Take me home, Robert." "Yes, sir." The ride to his mansion felt endless. Ethan stared out the window, but all he could see were those 3 little faces. The way Marcus stood, the way David smiled, the way the youngest, what was his name, had looked at Naomi with such trust, just like Ethan used to look at his own mother before she died, before everything changed. Robert pulled through the iron gates of the Hayes estate. The mansion rose up like a castle in the darkness. 40 rooms, 10 bathrooms, a house big enough for a dozen families. But tonight, it felt empty. "Will you need anything else tonight, sir?" "No, Robert. Thank you." Ethan walked through the front door. His footsteps echoed in the marble hallway. Family portraits lined the walls. Serious men in expensive suits. Beautiful women with cold smiles. He went straight to his study, poured himself a whiskey. sat in his leather chair, and remembered. 4 years ago, Naomi had been 24 then, fresh out of college, working as a maid to pay off her student loans. She'd been saving every penny to get her own place. His father had hired her. Daniel Hayes liked his staff young and grateful, people who wouldn't ask questions or cause trouble. Ethan had been finishing his MBA, living at home while he figured out his life. He'd noticed Naomi right away. She was beautiful, yes, but it was more than that. She had a light about her, a warmth that filled every room she entered. She hummed while she worked, old gospel songs her grandmother had taught her. Her voice was sweet and low. At first, they just said hello in the hallways. Good morning, good evening, simple politeness. But then came the night his father threw one of his famous dinner parties. Rich friends, business partners, important people who mattered in their small city. Ethan had escaped to the kitchen around midnight. Too much wine, too much fake laughter, too many people who only cared about his money. Naomi was there, cleaning dishes, still humming. You don't have to stay this late, he'd said. She'd looked up, surprised. Your father likes everything perfect for his guests. My father likes a lot of things. Doesn't mean they're right. She'd studied his face in the soft kitchen light. You look tired. I am tired. Want some coffee? I just made a fresh pot. That's how it started. Coffee in the kitchen at midnight. Quiet conversations while the house slept. Stolen moments when his father was at work. Naomi told him about growing up with her mother, how they'd struggled after her father left, how she'd worked 2 jobs to get through college. Ethan told her about his mother, how she'd died when he was 15, how his father had turned cold after that, how every decision in his life had to be approved by Daniel Hayes. That must be lonely, Naomi had said. It was lonely. He'd never admitted that to anyone before. Weeks turned into months. Friendship turned into something deeper, something dangerous. The first time they kissed, it was in the library. Rain was falling outside. Naomi was dusting the books. Ethan was pretending to read. She'd reached for a book on a high shelf. He'd stood to help her. Their hands had touched, and then they were kissing. Soft and sweet and perfect. This is crazy, she'd whispered against his lips. I know. Your father would fire me. I know. We're from different worlds. I don't care. But he should have cared. He should have thought about what would happen when his father found out. Because Daniel Hayes found out everything. Ethan set down his whiskey glass. The memory hurt too much. His father had been furious, not just angry, furious. She's using you, Daniel had said. She's after our money. That's not true. Girls like her always are. I won't have it, Ethan. I won't have our family name dragged through the mud. Our family name. You think people won't talk? You think they won't whisper about the Hayes boy sleeping with the help? The words had been like poison, slowly working their way into Ethan's mind, making him doubt everything he felt. His father had given him an ultimatum. End it now, or I'll end it for you. And her. Ethan had been 26 then, still weak, still afraid of disappointing the only parent he had left, so he'd ended it. He'd told Naomi it was over, that they wanted different things, that it would never work. The look on her face still haunted him. Hurt, betrayal, disbelief. I thought you were different, she'd said. I am what I am. Yes, you are. She'd quit that same day, packed her things and left. No goodbye, no second chances. Ethan had thrown himself into work, business school, his father's company. He'd tried to forget her smile, her laugh, the way she made him feel like he could be better than he was. But some things you never forget. And now she was back, with 3 boys who looked exactly like him. His phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. Sir, there are some rumors going around about tonight. Should I handle the press? Press, of course. By tomorrow, everyone in town would be talking. The gossip would spread like wildfire. Ethan typed back, let me handle it. But how could he handle it? He didn't even know what it was yet. Those boys, were they his? The math worked. 4 years ago, he and Naomi had been together. Really together. If she'd gotten pregnant, if she'd been pregnant when he broke her heart. Ethan stood up so fast his chair rolled backward. He had to know the truth. Tonight. The next morning came too soon. Ethan barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Marcus pressing his little hand against the car window. He cancelled his morning meetings, told his assistant he was sick. Then he drove to the part of town where Naomi lived now. He'd looked up her address online, found her on social media. She worked at a small accounting firm, lived in a modest neighborhood, posted pictures of birthday parties and school plays, pictures of 3 beautiful boys. Her house was small but neat, yellow paint, white trim, A flower garden in the front yard, a swing set in the back. It looked like home. Ethan parked across the street. He sat in his expensive car and felt completely out of place. What was he doing here? What did he plan to say? "Hi, Naomi. I know I broke your heart 4 years ago, but are those boys mine?" Before he could change his mind, the front door opened. Naomi stepped out with the 3 boys. They were dressed for school, backpacks on, lunchboxes in hand. Marcus said something that made Naomi laugh, a real laugh, the kind she used to give Ethan in the kitchen at midnight. Ethan got out of his car. Naomi saw him immediately. Her smile disappeared. She put her arms around the boys, pulling them closer. "Get back in the house," she said quietly. "But Mom, we'll be late for school," David said. Now, Ethan crossed the street. His heart was pounding again. "Naomi, please, just let me talk to you." "There's nothing to say." "I think there's everything to say." The boys stared at him with wide eyes. Up close, the resemblance was even stronger. Marcus had his chin. David had his nose. The youngest, Tommy, he thought he'd heard Naomi say, had his stubborn cowlick. "Boys, go inside," Naomi said. Her voice was firm but gentle. "Tell Grandma I'll be right there." "Is he the man from last night?" Marcus asked. "Inside, now." The boys went into the house, but Ethan could see their faces pressed against the window, watching. Naomi faced him with her arms crossed. She was still beautiful, maybe more beautiful than before. Motherhood had given her a strength that made her shine. "What do you want, Ethan?" "I want to know about those boys. They're my sons. Are they mine?" The question hung in the air between them, heavy and dangerous. Naomi's jaw tightened. "You lost the right to ask that question 4 years ago." "Naomi, no." Her voice was sharp. "You don't get to show up here and demand answers. You made your choice. I was young. I was stupid. You were cruel." The word hit him like a slap. But it was true. He had been cruel, not just in ending things but in how he'd done it. Cold, distant, like she'd meant nothing to him. "I know I hurt you," he said. "I know I don't deserve anything from you. But if those boys are mine—" "If they're yours, what?" Her eyes flashed with anger. "You'll want to be their father? You'll want to play happy family?" "Maybe, maybe." She stepped closer. "These boys don't need a maybe father. They need someone who chooses them every day. Someone who puts them first." "I could do that." "Like you put me first?" Ethan had no answer for that, because she was right. When it mattered, he'd chosen his father's approval over her heart. "Please, Naomi, just give me a chance to make this right." "Make what right? You don't even know if there's anything to make right." She was testing him. He could hear it in her voice. Part of her wanted to tell him the truth, but she was scared, hurt, protecting herself and her boys. "Then tell me," he said. "Are they mine?" Naomi looked at the window where 3 little faces watched them. Her expression softened for just a moment. Then it hardened again. "Leave us alone, Ethan. We don't need you." She turned toward the house. "I won't stop asking," he called after her. She paused at her front door. "Then you'll be disappointed." The door slammed shut. Ethan stood there for a long moment. Behind the window he could see movement, voices. Then the curtains closed. But as he walked back to his car, he heard something that made him stop, crying. A child's voice, muffled but clear. "I want to meet him, Mummy. Please?" It was Marcus, the oldest boy. Ethan's hands were shaking as he got into his car. That little boy wanted to meet him. His possible son was asking about him. He drove home with those words echoing in his head. "I want to meet him." For the first time in 4 years, Ethan felt something besides emptiness. He felt hope and determination. Naomi was right. He'd lost the right to demand answers, but he could earn that right back. He could prove he was different now. He could prove he was worth a second chance, even if it took everything he had. Inside her house, Naomi leaned against the front door. Her heart was racing. Her hands were shaking. 4 years. 4 years of building a life without him. 4 years of telling herself she was better off alone, and he shows up looking like that. Still handsome. Still able to make her forget everything with just one look. "Naomi," her mother's voice came from the kitchen. "What's going on out there?" Helen Carter had been staying with them for the past month, helping with the boys while Naomi worked extra hours. She was a small woman with silver hair and worried eyes. "Nothing, Mama, just a neighbor." But Helen appeared in the hallway anyway. She took one look at Naomi's face and frowned. "That wasn't a neighbor. I saw him from the kitchen window." "Who is that man?" Naomi couldn't lie to her mother. She'd never been able to. "It was Ethan." Helen's face went pale. "Ethan Hayes? That boy who broke your heart?" "Yes." What did he want? Naomi looked toward the living room. She could hear the boys talking quietly, probably wondering why she was upset. He saw us last night. Downtown. He saw the boys. Helen's hand went to her chest. Oh, honey. He wants to know if they're his. What did you tell him? Nothing. I told him to leave us alone. Helen studied her daughter's face. And do you want him to leave you alone? It was a simple question, but the answer was so complicated. Yes, she wanted him to leave them alone. She'd worked so hard to build this life. The boys were happy, she had a good job. They didn't need the complication of Ethan Hayes, but also, no. Some part of her had always wondered what would happen if he came back. Some small, foolish part of her had never stopped loving him. It doesn't matter what I want, Naomi said. The boys come first. And what do the boys want? Marcus asked if he could meet him. Helen sighed. These boys have been asking about their father for years. You know that. Naomi did know that. Marcus especially. He was old enough to notice that other kids had dads. He'd ask questions that got harder to answer each year. Where is my daddy? Why don't I have a father? Will he ever come back? Naomi had tried to be both parents. She'd worked hard to make sure the boys never felt like they were missing anything, but sometimes late at night, she wondered if it was enough. I'm scared, Mama. Of what? Of him leaving again. If the boys get attached to him, and then he decides this is too hard. You don't know that he'll leave. I know that he left before. Helen moved closer, put her arms around her daughter. You were just kids then. People change. Do they? Sometimes, when they have good reason to. Naomi wanted to believe that, but believing in Ethan Hayes had broken her heart once before. She wasn't sure she was strong enough to do it again, especially not with 3 little boys depending on her to keep them safe. In the living room, Marcus appeared in the doorway. His green eyes, so much like his father's, were full of questions. Mom, is everything okay? Naomi pulled away from her mother and smiled. Everything's fine, baby. Are you ready for school? Are we still going? Of course. Why wouldn't we? Marcus glanced toward the front door. Is that man coming back? The question every mother fears. How do you explain adult problems to a child? How do you protect their heart while still telling the truth? I don't know, Marcus. Do you want him to come back? Another impossible question. I want what's best for you and your brothers. But what do you want? 8 years old, and he was already too smart for his own good. I want us to be happy, she said finally. All of us. Marcus nodded like that made sense. Okay, can we go to school now? I have a spelling test. Of course. As they gathered their things, Naomi caught her mother watching her with knowing eyes. What? Naomi asked. You still love him? That's ridiculous. You can lie to him, you can even lie to yourself, but don't lie to me. Naomi didn't answer. Because what could she say? That yes, some part of her still loved the boy who used to make her coffee at midnight, who used to kiss her like she was the most precious thing in the world. That yes, she'd never really gotten over him, no matter how hard she'd tried. That yes, seeing him again had awakened feelings she'd buried so deep, she'd almost forgotten they existed. But love wasn't enough. It hadn't been enough 4 years ago, and it wouldn't be enough now. Not unless Ethan had really changed. Not unless he was ready to choose her. Choose them, no matter what anyone else thought. As they drove to school, Naomi watched her boys in the rearview mirror. Marcus was reading a book. David was drawing in a notebook. Tommy was staring out the window with that serious expression he got when he was thinking hard. These were her babies, her heart, her whole world. If Ethan wanted to be part of their lives, he'd have to prove he deserved them. And if he couldn't do that, well, they'd been fine without him for 4 years. They could be fine without him for 40 more, even if it broke her heart all over again. That evening, Ethan sat in his study again. Same chair, same whiskey. But everything felt different. His phone had been buzzing all day, text messages, voicemails, people wanting to know about the woman and children he'd been seen with. He'd ignored them all. Instead, he'd spent the day thinking, planning, trying to figure out how to win back a woman who had every reason to hate him. His computer was open to Naomi's social media page. 4 years of photos, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, first days of school. The boys looked happy, loved, well cared for. Naomi had done a good job raising them alone, but they were still his sons. He could feel it in his bones. The way Marcus had looked at him, the way David had tilted his head, the way Tommy had hidden behind Naomi's legs but kept peeking out. They were his boys, his family, and he wasn't going to walk away this time, no matter what his father said, no matter what anyone said. As if summoned by his thoughts, Daniel Hayes walked into the study without knocking. His face was thunderous. "We need to talk." Ethan didn't turn around. He kept staring at the computer screen, at the pictures of 3 boys who looked just like him. "Hello, Father." Daniel Hayes stepped into the study like he owned it, which technically he did. This was still his house, his money, his rules. "Close that computer." "No." Daniel's eyebrows shot up. Ethan had never said no to him before, not directly. "I said close it." And I said no. Ethan finally turned around. "Is there something you need?" "What I need is for you to explain why half the town is calling me about you and some woman with children. That's not your business. Everything you do is my business. You're a Hayes. Your actions reflect on this family." Ethan stood up slowly. He was taller than his father now, stronger, but Daniel still had the power to make him feel like a child. "The family reputation," Ethan said, "always comes first, doesn't it?" "Of course it does. Without our reputation, we have nothing." "I disagree." Daniel's face went red. "You disagree? Boy, I built this empire from nothing. I gave you everything. Can't you want to throw it away for some—" "Careful." Ethan's voice was quiet, dangerous. "Be very careful what you say next. She's using you, son, just like before. Can't you see that? What I see is a woman who raised 3 beautiful children alone, because I was too weak to stand up to you. Those children aren't your responsibility. If they're mine, they are." Daniel laughed, a harsh sound with no humor in it. "If they're yours? You think she'd tell you the truth? She'll say whatever gets her access to our money." Ethan moved closer to his father. "Naomi isn't like that. All women are like that. Mom wasn't." Daniel's face went pale. Ethan never mentioned his mother. That subject had been off limits for 15 years. "Your mother was different. So is Naomi. Your mother was my wife. This woman was our maid. Her job doesn't define her worth. Her job defines her place. And it's not with us." Ethan shook his head. "I used to think you were just protective. Now I see you're just cruel. I'm practical. I'm realistic. I'm trying to save you from making a mistake that will ruin your life. The only mistake I made was listening to you 4 years ago." Daniel stepped back like he'd been slapped. "You're not thinking clearly. This is just guilt talking. Maybe it is guilt. Maybe I should feel guilty. I hurt someone I cared about because I was afraid of what people would think. What people think matters. Not to me, not anymore." Ethan walked toward the door. Daniel grabbed his arm. "Where are you going?" "To see my sons." "They're not your sons until you know for sure." Ethan pulled free. "They're my sons because I choose them to be. DNA doesn't make a father. Choice does." He left his father standing in the study. For the first time in his life, Ethan Hayes walked away from a fight with his father, and it felt amazing. The next morning, Ethan drove to the elementary school. He sat in his car across the street and watched the playground. Kids running around, laughing, playing soccer. There, Marcus was in the middle of the field. His dark hair flew as he kicked the ball. He was fast, determined. He played like he had something to prove. David was on the swings, pumping his legs to go higher. He had the biggest smile on his face. Tommy was building something in the sandbox. His little tongue poked out when he concentrated, just like Ethan used to do. These were his boys. He knew it in his heart. A car pulled up beside his. Naomi got out, her face stormy. She marched over to his window. He rolled it down. "What are you doing here?" "Watching them play. This is stalking. This is a public street. This is their school, their safe space. You have no right to be here." Ethan turned off his car, got out. "I have every right to be here if they're my sons. We've been through this." "No, we haven't. You won't talk to me. You won't give me a chance." Other parents were starting to stare. Naomi noticed and lowered her voice. "I don't owe you anything. You're right, you don't. But they might want to know their father. You're not their father. A father doesn't disappear for 4 years. I didn't know they existed. You didn't want to know." That hurt, because it was probably true. When he'd ended things with Naomi, he'd tried not to think about her at all. He'd thrown himself into work, into forgetting. If she'd tried to contact him about being pregnant, would he have listened? Or would his father's voice in his head have been too loud? "You're right," he said quietly. "I probably wouldn't have listened then, but I'm listening now." Naomi studied his face, looking for something. Sincerity, maybe, or proof that he'd really changed. "It's too late." "It's not too late until they're grown up and gone." The school bell rang. Kids started running toward the building. Marcus looked over and saw his mother talking to Ethan. He stopped running. Even from across the playground, Ethan could see the curiosity on the boy's face. "Marcus is watching us," Ethan said. Naomi turned, waved at her son. Marcus waved back but didn't move. "He's been asking about you," she said softly. "What do you tell him?" "I tell him to focus on school." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer I have." Marcus was still standing there. David had noticed too. They were both staring at their mother and the tall man she was talking to. "They deserve to know the truth," Ethan said. "The truth is complicated. Kids can handle complicated. What they can't handle is lies." Naomi's eyes flashed. "I don't lie to my children. Then tell them who I am. I don't know who you are anymore." That stopped him, because she was right. He wasn't the same person who'd broken her heart 4 years ago, but he wasn't sure who he was now either. "Let me show you," he said. "Let me prove I've changed." "How?" "Give me a chance. One chance. Let me take you and the boys somewhere. Anywhere you want." Naomi was quiet for a long moment. The playground was empty now. The boys had gone inside for class. "One chance," she said finally. "Saturday afternoon, the park on Elm Street, 2 hours. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This isn't for you, it's for them. They have questions I can't answer. I understand. And Ethan, if you hurt them, if you disappoint them, I will make sure you never see them again." The threat was delivered calmly, quietly. But Ethan had no doubt she meant every word. "I won't hurt them. You better not." She walked back to her car, drove away without looking back. Ethan sat on the school steps for a while, thinking about Saturday, about second chances, about 3 little boys who might be his sons. He had 4 days to figure out how to be a father. No pressure at all. Saturday came too quickly and not quickly enough. Ethan arrived at Elm Street Park 30 minutes early. He'd barely slept. Kept changing his mind about what to wear, what to bring, how to act. Finally, he'd settled on jeans and a t-shirt. Nothing fancy. Nothing that screamed rich guy trying too hard. He'd brought a soccer ball. Kids like soccer, right? The park was busy. Families everywhere. Kids on swings. Parents pushing strollers. The smell of hot dogs from a food truck. This was normal life, the kind of life he'd never really experienced. His childhood had been formal dinners and private schools, tutors and etiquette lessons. This looked better. A car pulled up. His heart started racing. Naomi got out first. She was wearing a yellow sundress that made her skin glow. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She looked young, happy, beautiful. The boys tumbled out after her, all 3 talking at once, excited about the park, about playing, about the ice cream truck they'd spotted. Then they saw Ethan. All 3 went quiet. Marcus stepped forward first. "Are you the man from our street?" "I am." Ethan knelt down so he was at eye level. "I'm Ethan." "I'm Marcus. These are my brothers, David and Tommy. It's nice to meet you all." David hid behind Marcus. Tommy grabbed Naomi's hand. "Did you bring that soccer ball for us?" Marcus asked. Ethan looked down. He'd forgotten he was holding it. "Would you like to play?" "Yes." Just like that, the ice was broken. Marcus ran toward the open field. David followed, then Tommy. "Come on, Ethan," Marcus called. "You can be on my team." Ethan looked at Naomi. She nodded. "Go ahead. I'll watch from here." The next hour flew by. Soccer turned into tag. Tag turned into hide and seek. The boys were funny, smart, full of energy and questions. "Are you rich?" David asked while they sat on the grass drinking water. "David," Naomi called from her bench. "That's not polite." "It's okay," Ethan said. "Yes, I have money." "Are you a prince?" Tommy asked. "No, buddy. Just a regular guy." "Do you have a big house?" "Pretty big. Bigger than ours." Ethan thought about his 40-room mansion. "Much bigger." "Can we see it?" Marcus asked. "Maybe someday." "Do you have kids?" David asked. The question hung in the air. Ethan looked over at Naomi. She was watching them carefully. "I don't know," he said honestly. "I hope I do." "What do you mean you don't know?" Marcus asked. "Some things are complicated. Mom says that a lot." Ethan smiled. "Moms are smart." "Our mom is the smartest," Tommy said. "I believe that." They played until the boys were tired and sweaty. Ice cream from the truck, more sitting on the grass, more questions. "Where do you work?" David asked. "In an office downtown." "Do you like it?" "Sometimes." "What do you like to do for fun?" Ethan realized he didn't have a good answer. Work was his life, had been for years. "I like hanging out with you guys," he said. Tommy smiled, a big, gap-toothed grin. "We like hanging out with you too." "Time to go," Naomi called. The boys groaned, but they gathered their things without arguing. "Can Ethan come to our house for dinner?" Marcus asked. "Not today, baby." "Can we see him again?" Naomi looked at Ethan. He tried to read her expression. She'd been watching them all afternoon, taking in every interaction, every word. "We'll see," she said. As they walked to the parking lot, Tommy took Ethan's hand. His little fingers were sticky from ice cream, warm and trusting. "I had fun today," he said. "Me too, buddy. Will you come back?" "I hope so." At the car, the boys piled into the back seat. Naomi turned to Ethan. "Thank you," she said. "They had a good time." "So did I. They're amazing kids, Naomi. You've done an incredible job." Something flickered in her eyes. Surprise, maybe, or gratitude. "I'll call you," she said. "Promise?" "Promise." They drove away. Ethan stood in the parking lot until their car disappeared. His phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Naomi must have given him her phone. "Thank you for playing with us. You're really good at soccer." Ethan smiled, texted back, "Thank you for teaching me hide and seek. You guys are the best hiders ever. Can you come to my soccer game next week?" Ethan's heart jumped. He looked at Naomi's number, called her. "Hello? Marcus invited me to his soccer game." Silence. Then, "Did he? Can I go?" More silence. Then, "Thursday at 4, Riverside Elementary. I'll be there." "Ethan?" "Yeah?" "Don't make promises you can't keep." The line went dead, but Ethan was smiling. This was progress. Slow progress, but progress. For the first time in 4 years, he had something to look forward to besides work. Thursday's soccer game was everything Ethan had hoped for, and more. Marcus played like his life depended on it, running up and down the field, shouting directions to his teammates, scoring 2 goals. Every time he did something good, he looked at the sidelines, looking for Ethan, making sure he was watching. Ethan cheered louder than any parent there. David sat beside him on the bleachers, explaining the rules, pointing out which kids were good players. Tommy drew pictures in a coloring book, but kept looking up to wave at Ethan. Naomi sat on the other side of the boys. She was quiet, but relaxed. More relaxed than he'd seen her since he'd come back into their lives. After the game, Marcus ran over with his medal, 3rd place. "Did you see my goals? I saw everything. You were incredible. Coach says I might make the all-star team. I bet you will. Will you come to those games too?" Ethan looked at Naomi. She nodded slightly. "If your mom says it's okay." "Mom, can he come?" "We'll see how things go." That had become her standard answer. "We'll see." But Ethan was learning to read between the lines. "We'll see" was better than no. It was progress. After the game, they went for pizza. Nothing fancy. A family place with plastic tables and paper napkins. The boys argued about what toppings to order. Naomi refereed with the patience of a saint. Ethan just watched, amazed by how normal it all felt. This was what family looked like. Messy, loud, perfect. "Earth to Ethan," David said. "Do you like pepperoni?" "I like whatever you guys like." "We like everything," Tommy said. "Then everything it is." While they waited for their pizza, the boys went to play arcade games. Ethan and Naomi were alone for the first time since that day at her house. "They like you," she said. "I like them too." "This isn't a game, Ethan. They're getting attached." "Is that bad?" "It is if you're going to disappear again." "I'm not going anywhere." "You say that now." "I mean it." Naomi studied his face. "What changed? 4 years ago you couldn't wait to get rid of me. Now you want to play happy family. What's different?" Ethan thought about that. What was different? "I grew up," he said finally. "I realized what matters. Which is this, you, them, family, family," she repeated. "You know what family means? It means showing up every day, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when your father disapproves." The last part stung, because she was right. His father was furious about the time Ethan was spending with Naomi and the boys. "I know what family means now." "Do you?" "Because family isn't just the fun stuff. It's not just soccer games and ice cream. It's middle-of-the-night stomach bugs. It's homework battles. It's worrying about money and schools and whether you're doing everything wrong." "I want all of that." "You think you do?" "I know I do." Naomi was quiet for a moment. Then, "Marcus asked me last night if you were his father." Ethan's heart stopped. "What did you tell him?" "I told him it was complicated." "Naomi, I think it's time they knew the truth." "The truth?" "Yes. You are their father. All 3 of them." The words hit him like a physical blow. He'd suspected, hoped, but hearing it out loud was different. He was a father, had been a father for 8 years and hadn't known it. "Why didn't you tell me?" he whispered. "When? When you were breaking my heart? When you were telling me we came from different worlds?" "You could have called, written, something." I tried. Her voice was so quiet he almost missed it. I called your office 3 times. Your assistant said you were busy. Ethan's chest tightened. He remembered those calls. His father had told him not to take them. I wrote you a letter, Naomi continued. Told you everything, mailed it to your house. I never got a letter. No, I'm sure you didn't. Your father probably made sure of that. His father, of course. Daniel Hayes had made sure Ethan never knew about his sons. I'm sorry, Ethan said. I'm so sorry. I don't need your apologies. My boys do. Then I'll apologize to them. It's not that simple. They're going to have questions. Hard questions. About why you weren't there. About why they didn't have a father for 8 years. What do I tell them? The truth. That you made a mistake. A big one. And that you're trying to make it right. The boys came running back to the table. Their faces were flushed with excitement. Mom, I won at skee-ball, David announced. And I got tickets, Tommy added. Marcus looked between his mother and Ethan. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, baby, Naomi said. Sit down. Pizza's here. As they ate, Ethan watched his sons. Really watched them. Memorizing their faces, their voices, the way Marcus protected his brothers, the way David made everyone laugh, the way Tommy asked endless questions about everything. His sons. He'd missed 8 years of their lives. 8 years of bedtime stories and first steps and birthday parties. But he was here now, and he wasn't going anywhere. Not this time. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm. Soccer practice on Tuesdays, games on Thursdays, weekend outings to parks and movies and museums. Ethan learned that Marcus loved books about dragons. David was obsessed with dinosaurs. Tommy collected rocks and insisted each one had a special power. He learned that Naomi made the best pancakes in the world, that she hummed when she was cooking, that she still had the softest laugh he'd ever heard. Slowly, carefully, they were building something. Not the passionate romance they'd had before. Something deeper, more solid. Something that could last. One evening, Ethan was helping Marcus with his homework while Naomi made dinner. David and Tommy were building a fort out of couch cushions. Ethan? Marcus said quietly. Yeah, buddy. Are you really our dad? The question he'd been dreading, but also hoping for. Yes, I am. Marcus nodded like he'd expected that answer. Why weren't you here before? Because I made a mistake. A really big mistake. What kind of mistake? I was scared. And I let that fear make me do something stupid. What were you scared of? How do you explain Pride and Prejudice to an 8-year-old? How do you explain that his grandfather thought his family wasn't good enough? I was scared people wouldn't understand our family. What's not to understand? Out of the mouths of babes. You're right. There's nothing to understand. I was just being dumb. Are you still scared? Not anymore. Good, because we need a dad. Simple as that. Marcus went back to his math homework like they'd just discussed the weather, but Ethan's eyes were burning. These boys needed a dad, and somehow, miraculously, they wanted him to be that dad. Later, after the boys were in bed, Ethan and Naomi sat on her front porch, drinking coffee, watching the stars. Marcus knows, Naomi said. I told him. How did he take it? Better than I expected. He's been waiting for this conversation for a long time. They were quiet for a while. Comfortable quiet, the kind they used to share in his father's kitchen all those years ago. I love them, Ethan said suddenly. I know. I love you too. Naomi went very still. Ethan, I know you're not ready to hear that. I know I have to earn your trust back, but I needed to say it. This isn't about me, it's about them. It's about all of us. You can't just waltz back into my life and expect everything to be the same. I don't expect that. I know everything's different now. Better, I think. Better? We're not kids anymore. We know what we want, what matters. What do you want? You, them, this, family, home, something real. Naomi was quiet for a long time. Then, I can't get hurt again, Ethan. I won't survive it this time. I won't hurt you. You don't know that. I do know that, because losing you once almost destroyed me. I won't make that mistake again. She looked at him then, really looked at him, like she was trying to see into his soul. Your father hates this. My father hates a lot of things. I stopped caring about his opinion. Have you? Really? Really? What happens when he threatens to cut you off? When he says it's me and the boys or the family business? Ethan had been dreading this conversation too, because she was right. His father would threaten exactly that, probably soon. Then I choose you. Just like that? Just like that. You'd give up everything for us? I'd give up everything for you. But I wouldn't be giving up everything. I'd be gaining everything that matters. Naomi was crying now, silent tears that broke his heart. I want to believe you. Then believe me. I'm scared. So am I. What are you scared of? That I'm too late. That I've hurt you too badly. That you'll never be able to trust me again. And if I can't, then I'll keep trying, for as long as it takes. Naomi wiped her eyes, looked out at the quiet street, at the life she'd built without him. The boys want you to come to dinner Sunday. Family dinner with my mom. Is that what you want? I think I want to try. It wasn't a declaration of love. It wasn't a promise of forever, but it was hope, and hope was enough for now. Sunday dinner was at Helen Carter's house, a small place with a big kitchen and the smell of home-cooked food. Ethan had been nervous all week. Meeting the mother of the woman you love is intimidating under normal circumstances. Meeting the mother of the woman whose heart you broke 4 years ago while she was pregnant with your children, terrifying. But Helen Carter surprised him. She was warm, welcoming. She fussed over him like he was one of her own grandchildren. You're too skinny, she announced 5 minutes after he walked in the door. Naomi, make this boy a plate. Mama, he's not a boy. He's 30 years old. Any man who needs a woman to cook for him is still a boy. The dinner was perfect. Pot roast and mashed potatoes. Green beans from Helen's garden. Cornbread that melted in your mouth. The boys told stories. Helen embarrassed Naomi with baby pictures. Ethan helped with dishes and felt more at home than he had in years. After dinner, he and Helen found themselves alone on the back porch while Naomi put the boys down for naps. You hurt my daughter, Helen said, without preamble. Yes, ma'am, I did. You broke her heart so bad I thought she might never recover. I know. She was pregnant and alone and scared. Do you know what that's like for a young woman? Ethan's throat was tight. I can't imagine. She cried every night for months. Wondered if she'd made the right choice keeping those babies. Wondered if they'd be better off adopted by a family with a father. The words were like knives. Naomi had thought about giving up his sons because he'd broken her heart. But she didn't give up, Helen continued. She fought. She worked 2 jobs while she was pregnant, finished school with a baby on her hip, built a life for those boys all by herself. She's amazing. Yes, she is. And those boys are the best thing that ever happened to her. They're the best thing that ever happened to me, too. Helen studied his face. You mean that, with everything I have? Good, because if you hurt them again, I'll make sure you regret it. The threat was delivered with a sweet smile. But Ethan had no doubt she meant every word. I won't hurt them. See that you don't. Naomi appeared in the doorway. Everything okay out here? Just fine, honey, Helen said. Ethan and I were just getting to know each other. Mama, what did you say to him? Nothing he didn't need to hear. Ethan stood up. I should probably go. Early day tomorrow. Will we see you this week? David asked, appearing at his mother's side. If that's okay with your mom. It's okay, Naomi said. Marcus has practice Tuesday. I'll be there. As he walked to his car, Ethan felt lighter than he had in years. This was what family felt like. Messy and complicated and perfect. His phone rang as he got in his car, his father's name on the screen. For a moment he considered not answering, but putting this off wouldn't make it easier. Hello, Father. We need to talk. Now. It's Sunday night. I don't care what night it is. Come home. Immediately. The line went dead. Ethan sat in his car for a moment, looking back at the little house where his family was, where he'd just eaten the best meal of his life. Then he drove home to face his father. Time to find out if he really had the courage to choose love over fear. Time to find out if he'd really changed. The final test was waiting. The Hayes mansion felt cold when Ethan walked through the front door. Every light was on, but the house still felt dark. His father was waiting in the study, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. Sit down, Daniel said without looking up. I'll stand. I said sit down. Ethan remained standing. What do you want, Father? Daniel finally stopped pacing. His face was red with anger. What I want is for this nonsense to stop. Now. What nonsense? Don't play stupid with me. This whole charade with that woman and her children. Their names are Naomi, Marcus, David, and Tommy. I don't care what their names are. I care about our family name, which you are destroying. Ethan crossed his arms. How am I destroying anything? People are talking, laughing, saying the Hayes boy is playing house with the help. Let them talk. Let them talk. Daniel's voice rose. Do you have any idea what this is doing to our reputation? To our business? Our business is fine. Our business depends on respect, on people knowing their place. When you parade around town with that woman, stop calling her that woman. Her name is Naomi. I don't care what her name is. She's beneath us. The words hung in the air like poison. Ethan felt something snap inside his chest. Beneath us? Yes, beneath us. She was our maid, for God's sake. She was a college graduate working to pay off her loans. She was the help, and now she's using those children to trap you. Those children are my sons. You don't know that. I do know that. And even if they weren't, I'd still choose them. Daniel's face went purple. You choose them over your own family? You're not my family anymore. The words came out before Ethan could stop them, but once they were out, he realized he meant them. You're not my family, he said again. You're just a bitter old man who can't stand to see other people happy. How dare you? No! How dare you? How dare you keep my sons from me for 4 years? How dare you intercept Naomi's letter? How dare you try to control every aspect of my life? Daniel's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. The letter, Father. Naomi told me she wrote to tell me about the boys. You made sure I never got it. I was protecting you. You were controlling me. She was going to ruin your life. She was going to give my life meaning. Father and son stared at each other across the study, 26 years of lies and manipulation hanging between them. If you continue this relationship, Daniel said slowly, I will cut you off, completely. No money, no business, no inheritance. Good, good. I don't want your money, I don't want your business, I want a life, a real life, with people who love me for who I am, not what I'm worth. You're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was listening to you for so long. Ethan turned toward the door. If you walk out that door, Daniel called after him. Don't come back. Ethan paused, turned around one last time. I won't need to come back. I'm finally going home. He walked out of the mansion, out of his father's life, out of his old life entirely. For the first time in 30 years, Ethan Hayes was free, but freedom came with a price. The next morning, Daniel Hayes made good on his threats. He called a press conference, told the entire town that his son was having a mental breakdown, that he was being manipulated by a gold-digging ex-employee. He made sure everyone knew that Ethan was no longer part of the Hayes business empire, no longer welcome in polite society. The story was front-page news in the local paper. The headline read, Hayes heir disinherited over scandal. Ethan read it at the coffee shop downtown. People stared at him, whispered. Some looked sympathetic, others looked disgusted. He didn't care about their opinions anymore, but Naomi did. She called him that afternoon. Her voice was shaking. Did you see the paper? I saw it. They're calling me a gold digger. They're saying I'm using the boys to trap you. You know that's not true. It doesn't matter what I know, it matters what everyone else thinks. Since when do you care what everyone else thinks? Since my sons have to live in this town, since they have to go to school with kids whose parents read that garbage. Ethan's chest tightened. He hadn't thought about that, about how this would affect the boys. Naomi, Marcus came home crying today. Some kid at school said his mom was a liar. I'll talk to the school. You'll talk to the school and say what? That your father is wrong, that I'm not after your money. Yes. How do you prove a negative, Ethan? How do you prove you're not something? I don't know, but we'll figure it out. We? There is no we. There's me and my boys, like there's always been. That's not fair. Fair? Her voice cracked. What's not fair is my 8-year-old asking me if we're bad people. What's not fair is having to explain why strangers are saying horrible things about his family. This will blow over. Will it? Or will this follow us forever? Will my boys always be those kids whose mother trapped the rich guy? Naomi, please, don't do this. I can't do this anymore, Ethan. I thought I was strong enough, but I'm not. You're the strongest person I know. I'm not strong enough to watch my children suffer because of my choices. What are you saying? I'm saying this was a mistake, all of it. The line went dead. Ethan stared at his phone. Then he got in his car and drove to Naomi's house. But when he got there, the driveway was empty. The house was dark. A neighbor saw him standing on the porch. They left this morning, the old woman called. Had suitcases and everything. Do you know where they went? Nope. That poor girl looked like she'd been crying all night. Ethan's knees almost gave out. They were gone. Naomi had taken his sons and disappeared. He'd lost them. Again. The next 3 days were the worst of Ethan's life. He called Naomi's phone. No answer. He drove to her work. They said she'd taken family leave. He went to Helen's house. No one was home. It was like they'd vanished. On the 4th day, he was sitting in his empty apartment. He'd moved out of the mansion when Robert knocked on his door. Sir, I have something for you. It was a letter, hand-delivered by a little boy, Robert said. The boy had been very serious about making sure it got to the right person. Ethan recognized the handwriting immediately. Ethan, I'm sorry for leaving without saying goodbye. I know that makes me a coward, but I couldn't face you. Couldn't see the disappointment in your eyes when you realized I wasn't brave enough to fight for us. The boys are safe. We're staying with my cousin in the next town over. They're asking about you every day. I keep telling them we had to go away for a while, but they're too smart. They know something's wrong. Marcus wrote you a letter. I'm including it with this one. He made me promise to give it to you. I know you think I'm giving up. Maybe I am, but I have to protect my babies. I can't let them grow up thinking they're not good enough. I can't let them be ashamed of who they are. Please don't try to find us. Let us figure out how to live with this. I'm sorry. Naomi P.S. I never stopped loving you, that's the problem. Ethan's hands were shaking as he opened the second letter, a piece of notebook paper with careful 8-year-old handwriting. Dear Dad, Mum says we had to leave because people were saying mean things. She's crying a lot but trying to hide it. I don't understand why people are mad at us. We didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong either. David and Tommy keep asking when we're going home. I don't know what to tell them. I know you're probably mad at us for leaving. I'm sorry. Mum said we had to. Can you fix this? Mum says you can't, but I think you can. You're really good at fixing things. I miss you. Love, Marcus P.S. Tommy wants me to tell you he saved you a rock. He says it has the power to make sad people happy. Ethan read both letters twice. Then he sat on his couch and cried. His son thought he could fix this. His son believed in him. Maybe it was time to prove Marcus right. The Grand Metropolitan Hotel was packed for the annual Founders' Day Gala. Everyone who was anyone in the city was there, including all the people who'd been whispering about Ethan for the past week, including his father. Ethan hadn't been invited, but he came anyway. Walked right through the front door in his best suit. Conversations stopped when people saw him. The whispers started immediately. What's he doing here? After what happened with his father? Does he think people will just forget? Ethan ignored them all. He walked straight to the front of the room where the microphone was set up for speeches. The event coordinator tried to stop him. Sir, you're not on the program. I need to make an announcement. Sir, I can't let you... It's okay, Janet. The voice came from behind him. Mayor Williams stepped forward. Let the boy speak. The mayor had known Ethan since he was a child, had watched Daniel Hayes control and manipulate his son for years. Thank you, Ethan said. He stepped up to the microphone. The entire room went silent. Good evening, everyone. I know I wasn't supposed to speak tonight, but I have something important to say. He could see his father across the room. Daniel's face was thunderous. Most of you know me as Ethan Hayes. Some of you have known me my whole life. You've watched me grow up in this community. Murmurs from the crowd. People leaning forward to hear better. This week my father told you that I was having a mental breakdown, that I was being manipulated by someone who didn't deserve my attention. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I'm here to tell you that my father was wrong. About everything. Daniel started moving through the crowd toward the front, but other people blocked his way. 4 years ago, I fell in love with an incredible woman named Naomi Carter. She was smart, kind, hardworking, and beautiful. Everything I could ever want in a partner. Someone in the crowd gasped. This wasn't what they'd expected to hear, but I was young and stupid and scared. When my father told me to choose between her and my family's approval, I chose approval. I broke her heart and walked away. Ethan's voice was getting stronger, more confident. What I didn't know was that Naomi was pregnant. With my children, 3 beautiful boys who have been growing up without their father because of my cowardice. The crowd was buzzing now. This was better than any soap opera. My father knew about those children. He made sure I never found out. He intercepted letters. He blocked phone calls. He did everything in his power to keep my sons away from me. Daniel finally broke through the crowd. That's enough, he shouted. But Ethan kept talking. This week, my father told you that Naomi was a gold digger, that she was using my children to trap me. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a lie. The crowd was riveted now. Naomi Carter is the strongest, most independent woman I've ever known. She raised 3 children by herself. She worked 2 jobs to put herself through school. She never asked me for a penny. Ethan, stop this, Daniel called from the crowd. The only thing she ever wanted from me was love. Real love. The kind that doesn't care about money or status or what other people think. Ethan looked directly at his father. And she deserved that love. My sons deserved a father. They all deserved better than what I gave them. The room was completely silent now. So I'm here tonight to set the record straight. My father disowned me because I chose love over money. I chose family over reputation. I chose what was right over what was easy. Ethan's voice broke slightly. And if I could do it all over again, I'd make the same choice. because Naomi Carter and my 3 sons are worth more than all the money in the world." Applause started somewhere in the back of the room. Slowly, it spread through the crowd. People were standing up, clapping. Not everyone, but enough. "Naomi, if you're watching this," Ethan said, looking directly into the news camera that had appeared at the back of the room, "I love you. I love our boys, and I'm not giving up on us." He stepped away from the microphone, walked through the crowd toward the door. His father tried to follow him, but the crowd blocked his way. People wanted to shake Ethan's hand, to tell him they supported him, to tell him he'd done the right thing. Outside the hotel, Ethan stood under the same streetlights where he'd first seen Naomi and the boys 3 weeks ago. His phone was already buzzing. Text messages, voicemails, reporters wanting interviews, but there was only one call he cared about. It came an hour later. "Ethan? Naomi, I saw the news." "All of it?" "All of it." She was crying. He could hear it in her voice. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I don't know. Maybe. I think so. What about the boys? They're proud of you. Marcus keeps saying, 'I told you he could fix it.'" Ethan smiled through his own tears. Smart kid. He gets that from his father. They were both quiet for a moment. "Where are you?" Ethan asked. "About an hour away. At my cousin's house." "Are you coming home?" "I don't know. Everything's different now." "Different how?" "You stood up for us. In front of everyone. You chose us. I told you I would." "I know. But I didn't believe you. Not really. I was too scared." "And now?" Now I think maybe we could try again. If you want to." "If I want to?" Ethan laughed. "Naomi, I've wanted nothing else for 4 years. Even if it's hard, even if people talk, let them talk. I don't care about anyone's opinion except yours and the boys. What about your father?" "My father is no longer part of my life. Ethan, I mean it. I'm done with him. I'm done with anyone who can't accept the people I love." More silence. Then, "We'll be home tomorrow. I'll be waiting." "Ethan? Yeah? I love you too." The line went dead, but Ethan was smiling. They were coming home. The next evening, Ethan sat on Naomi's front porch, waiting. He'd been there for 3 hours, just waiting. Finally, a car turned onto the street. His heart started racing. The boys saw him first. They tumbled out of the car before it was fully stopped. "Ethan!" Tommy launched himself into Ethan's arms. "Dad!" Marcus was right behind him. "We saw you on TV!" David shouted. "You were famous!" Ethan hugged all 3 of them at once. His sons, his boys. "I missed you guys so much." "We missed you too," Marcus said. "Are you really not rich anymore?" "Not really, no." "Good," Tommy said. "Rich people are mean." "Not all of them," Naomi said, walking up the porch steps. "Just some of them." She looked tired, but she was smiling. "How was the drive?" Ethan asked. "Long. Full of questions about whether you'd really be here when we got home." "I told them you would be," Marcus said. "I knew you wouldn't leave." "Never again," Ethan promised. They went inside. Helen was already there, having driven over to welcome them home. She hugged Ethan like he was her own son. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. "That took real courage." Over dinner, the boys told Ethan everything they'd done while they were away. Swimming at their cousin's pool, playing with new kids, missing their own beds. After the boys went to sleep, Ethan and Naomi sat on the couch, just talking about everything and nothing. "What happens now?" she asked. "I don't know. I've never been unemployed before." "Are you scared?" "Terrified. And excited." "Excited? I get to figure out who I am when I'm not Daniel Hayes' son. I get to build something for myself, for us." "What kind of something?" "I don't know yet. Maybe I'll start my own business. Maybe I'll teach. Maybe I'll stay home with the boys while you work." Naomi laughed. "You want to be a stay-at-home dad?" "I want to be whatever kind of father my sons need." "And what kind of partner do you want to be?" Ethan turned to face her. "The kind who chooses you every day. The kind who puts family first. The kind who never makes you doubt how much you're loved." "That sounds perfect." "It won't be perfect. I'll mess up sometimes. We'll both mess up sometimes. But we'll figure it out together." "Together." Ethan reached for her hand. "I know I don't have the right to ask this yet. I know I need to prove myself first. But someday, when you're ready, will you marry me?" Naomi was quiet for a long moment. "Ask me again in a year," she said finally. "A year? If you still feel the same way in a year, if we've figured out how to be a family, if you've proven you really have changed, ask me then. And what will you say?" Naomi smiled. "Ask me and find out." 1 year later, almost to the day, Ethan kept his promise. He'd gotten a job at a small financial planning firm. The pay was good, but nothing like what he'd made at his father's company. It didn't matter. He was happier than he'd ever been. He'd moved into a house 3 blocks from Naomi's, close enough to help with homework and bedtime stories, far enough away to let her maintain her independence. The boys spent every weekend with him. He went to every soccer game, every school play, every parent-teacher conference. Slowly, carefully, they'd built something beautiful. Today was Marcus's 9th birthday. They were having a party in the park, where they'd had their first official outing as a family. All of Marcus's friends were there. Kids from school who'd gotten used to seeing Ethan at pickup, parents who'd stopped whispering when he walked by. Naomi's whole family was there too, cousins and aunts and uncles who'd welcomed Ethan with open arms. Daniel Hayes was not there. Ethan had invited him hoping for reconciliation, but his father had refused to come, had refused to acknowledge his grandson's, his loss. After the cake and presents, after the other families had gone home, Ethan found himself alone with Naomi by the duck pond. "Good party," she said. "The best. Did you see Marcus's face when he opened that bike? He's been wanting that bike for months." "I know. I've been saving up." They watched the boys feed ducks with Helen, 3 generations of the Carter family, plus one Hayes who'd been lucky enough to be adopted into their love. "Naomi? Yeah? It's been a year." She turned to look at him. "Has it?" "You know it has. And how do you feel, the same as you did a year ago?" "Stronger, more sure, more grateful." "Grateful for what?" "For you, for them, for second chances I didn't deserve." Naomi smiled. "What are you trying to ask me, Ethan?" Ethan dropped to one knee right there by the duck pond. He pulled out a ring he'd been carrying for 3 months, waiting for the right moment. "Naomi Carter, will you marry me?" The boys saw him kneeling and came running over. Helen was right behind them. "What's happening?" David asked. "Dad's asking Mom to marry him," Marcus said. He sounded very matter-of-fact about it. "What's Mom gonna say?" Tommy whispered. All eyes turned to Naomi. She looked at Ethan kneeling in the grass, at the ring in his hands, at the 3 little faces watching her with hope and excitement. "I'm going to say yes," she said. The boys erupted in cheers. Helen started crying happy tears. Ethan slipped the ring on Naomi's finger and kissed her while their sons danced around them. "Finally," Marcus said. "I was wondering when you were going to ask her." "You were?" Ethan laughed. "We all were," David added. "We've been ready to be a real family for months." "We've been a real family for months," Naomi said. "Now we're just making it official." "Can we have a big wedding?" Tommy asked. "Whatever you want," Ethan said. "As long as your mom says yes to actually marrying me." "I already said yes." "Say it again." "Yes, Ethan Hayes. I'll marry you." He stood up and spun her around, while the boys cheered and Helen cried and the ducks quacked their approval. It was perfect. Messy and loud and chaotic and perfect, just like family should be. 6 months later, Naomi Carter became Naomi Hayes in a small ceremony at the church where she'd grown up. Marcus, David, and Tommy walked her down the aisle. All 4 of them wore matching blue ties that Tommy had picked out because blue is Dad's favorite color. Helen cried through the entire ceremony. Half the town was there, including the mayor and most of Ethan's former classmates. Daniel Hayes was not there. He'd sent a lawyer instead with papers officially disowning Ethan and removing him from any inheritance. Ethan had signed them without reading them. The only family that mattered was the one standing at the altar with him. "Do you, Ethan Hayes, take Naomi Carter to be your wife, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, as long as you both shall live?" "I do." "Do you, Naomi Carter, take Ethan Hayes to be your husband, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, as long as you both shall live?" "I do." "You may kiss the bride." But before Ethan could kiss his new wife, Tommy tugged on his jacket. "What about us? Are we married to you too now?" "If you want to be." "We want to be," Marcus said solemnly. So the pastor married them all, the whole family, making official what had been true in their hearts for months. They were the Hayes family, all 5 of them, and they lived happily ever after. Not perfectly. There were still hard days, bills to pay and arguments to settle and tears to dry, but they lived happily, together, choosing each other every single day, just like family should. 5 years later, Ethan stood in the kitchen of their new house, making coffee at midnight. Some habits never died. Naomi appeared in the doorway, her hair messy from sleep. "Can't sleep?" she asked. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About how different everything is, how much better." Naomi moved to stand beside him. "Better how?" 5 years ago, I was living in that empty mansion, alone, miserable, doing everything my father wanted and nothing I wanted. And now? Now I'm in a house full of people I love, doing work that matters, building something real. Do you miss it? The money, the status? Not for a second, and he meant it. His financial planning business was successful but modest. They lived comfortably but not lavishly. They drove used cars and shopped for clothes on sale. It was the richest life he'd ever lived. Marcus got into the advanced math program, Naomi said. I heard. He's so excited. David wants to try out for the school play. He'll be great at it. And Tommy asked me today if we could get a dog. What did you tell him? I told him to ask his father. Ethan laughed. You're really going to make me be the bad guy? I'm really going to make you be the parent, like you always are. Footsteps on the stairs interrupted them. Marcus appeared, rubbing his eyes. I heard voices. Is everything okay? Everything's perfect, buddy, Ethan said. Just couldn't sleep. Me neither. Too excited about the math thing. Come here. Marcus walked over and Ethan pulled him into a hug. His eldest son was getting so tall. In a few years, he'd be as tall as Ethan. I'm proud of you, Ethan said. You work so hard at everything you do. I get that from you. You get that from your mom. I get it from both of you. More footsteps. David and Tommy appeared, drawn by the voices. What's everyone doing up? David asked. Family meeting, Tommy announced. Are we getting a dog? We'll talk about it, Naomi said. That means no, David said. That means we'll talk about it, Ethan corrected. Maybe after we get settled in the new house. They'd bought a bigger house 6 months ago. Nothing fancy, but big enough for a growing family, with a yard for a dog if they decided to get one. Can we have pancakes for breakfast? Tommy asked. It's midnight, Naomi said. Midnight pancakes are the best pancakes, Marcus said. Who told you that? Ethan asked. You did, remember? When I was little and couldn't sleep, you made me pancakes at midnight. Ethan did remember. One of many late-night conversations in this kitchen, one of many moments that had built their family bond by bond. Okay, Naomi said. Midnight pancakes it is. Really? David's eyes went wide. Really? But just this once. As Naomi started pulling ingredients from the cabinet, Ethan looked around the kitchen, at his wife humming while she cooked, at his 3 sons arguing about what to put in the pancakes. This was everything he'd ever wanted, everything that mattered. His phone buzzed, a text message from an unknown number. Ethan, this is your father. I've been following your life in the papers. Your business is doing well. I'm proud of you. Perhaps we could meet for dinner sometime. Daniel. Ethan stared at the message for a long moment. Then he deleted it. Some bridges once burned should stay burned. This family didn't need anyone who couldn't love them completely, unconditionally. Dad? Tommy tugged on his shirt. Mom says you get to flip the first pancake. Lucky me. Ethan put his phone away and joined his family at the stove, where he belonged, where he'd always belonged. Home wasn't a mansion with 40 rooms. Home was this kitchen, these people, this love. Home was choosing each other every single day, and Ethan Hayes had finally found his way home. The end.